Welcome to a new episode of The Simpsons Did It. I'm your host, Steven Sklansky.
And I'm your co-host, Robert Skolansky.
Well,
I
how's
can't
it
say
going?
co-host. That's how it's going.
Yeah, just a little bit.
This episode, I like this episode. It's not the best, I think, upon rewatching it, but it's pretty good.
You could save that till the end of the episode, maybe.
I will. Well, I'll explain my reasoning. This is season 2, episode 14, Principal Charming. So, as you could probably guess, this revolves around Principal Skinner a little bit.
Do you think it's like Prince Charming, like a knockoff of being Prince Charming, not just, and then you use the word Principal Charming?
Oh, for sure.
I think that's where they're going with it.
Yeah. This aired on February 14th, 1991, which, I mean, did they know this was going to air on Valentine's Day?
I mean,
when they made this
I guess it would have been planned. I bet it was planned.
It had to have been planned because in the recap, Bart benefits when Principal Skinner falls for his Aunt Patty, who has Skinner but doesn't want him. So it's a love story on Valentine's Day.
I know, it's so beautiful. And I'll tell you how it ends.
Chalkboard gag this week. I will not belch the national anthem.
Now, was this at a sporting event? Maybe it was at a... Well, I'm trying to think. I'm like, they sing the Pledge of Allegiance, and you can't pledge allegiance to Bart.
Nope.
And so...
I think there are some schools that start the day with the national anthem.
Really? I mean, I've never heard of that. I've only heard of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I believe I have heard of some schools starting with the national anthem. However, people who sing the national anthem tend to take too long singing it, so I would feel belching it, as disrespectful as it is, would take a very long time, and nobody would enjoy that.
No, but it'd be funny.
It would be hilarious. Our couch gag, Simpsons sit on the couch and it turns into a sleeper sofa. And I think this is our second repeat in a row.
In a row.
That's
crazy. Simpsons, come on.
Get your stuff together.
I mean, I'm glad in the later years that they're all,
new.
They're all new. Either that or they just don't have anything. It goes The Simpsons and then it's done.
That is true.
And like, that's it. So I think they're like, instead of repeats, let's just not do an intro.
Yeah. Well, there's always a chalkboard gag, I feel like.
Yes.
Maybe.
I guess I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Yeah. So we open up in the Simpsons household. Homer is sleeping. He's sleeping on Marge's side of the bed. I'm assuming he rolled over.
Yep, because Marge was up working out, and I didn't know Marge worked out.
She's got to keep up that good physique.
I know. It was kind of funny watching her workout in the kitchen. Was it like a little 13-inch TV or something? Like
probably.
I didn't know The Simpsons had a second TV.
You're right.
Did you? I didn't know that. I think it's the first time we've ever seen a second television in the Simpsons household.
Yeah. Phone rings. It's Barney on the other line, calling Homer at 8 a.m.
I do like the fact that the phone rings. Marge is in the kitchen, literally right next to the phone.
Yeah.
And remember,
maybe she couldn't hear it. Oh, what?
Well, remember, this is like the 90s. This isn't like cell phones.
Yep.
I mean, when you call a house phone, you can have like 3-4 people end up answering it because you usually have a phone in every room.
That is true.
I mean, maybe. I mean, that's definitely possible. But Homer's like, Rob, what are you doing? It's 8 a.m. Why are you waking me up at 8 a.m.?
To tell you about the greatest barbecue place in Springfield. And Barney is wearing a bib from this barbecue place called Greasy Joe's Bottomless Barbecue Pit.
I mean, they must have just opened. Otherwise, Homer would...
he said it was like a new joint.
Okay. Yep. It tells him about all the new joint, and it's all-you-can-eat barbecue, which, good God, I don't know if that actually exists in real life, but that would be
I could go for some all-you-can-eat barbecue. Probably in Texas or the South. A lot of the southern states, I bet you, have at least one kind of dine-in option where it's all you can eat, or at least they used to.
I
Because
mean,
I
they'd
know
be really good.
The South loves their barbecue, which I don't blame
Yeah,
them. Southern barbecue is really good.
I mean, we went to a lot of places in Nashville, me and mom, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Looks like Minneapolis has an all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue
Ooh, that
restaurant.
would be really good though.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
except,
I
are they
maybe next
open?
time you come up here. I don't know. I guess I'd have to check it out. But yeah, there it is, barbecue house, all-you-can-eat Korean barbecue right here.
Oh,
It's not.
Korean barbecue.
So, and it looks like they have one in Mesa, Arizona. So, I mean, there's a few out in the world. So,
Yeah.
hey, next time we're in an area with an all-you-can-eat barbecue joint, I think we're gonna have to take Homer's um, advice and go eat there.
Yep.
So we see obviously Marge working out in the kitchen, and you noted Marge is able to kick her leg backwards all the way to her head, which physically impossible.
No, 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 no,
I
no, no. No, it's
no.
not. Yoga. A lot of people who do yoga, because yoga is all about stretching the muscles. There are some people
Oh,
who can do some crazy. Have you seen gymnasts?
I guess so, but I guess I didn't know your leg can literally bend completely backwards around to the back of your skull.
Okay, maybe the
But
physics
Marge,
in The Simpsons is a little wonky, but there are some, I'm sure, maybe some men and some women who can bend their leg backwards like that because of, exercise and yoga and most likely being a gymnast.
so what do you think she was doing? Richard Simmons? I mean,
Is
that's
Richard
90s.
Simmons? Yeah, she could have been doing
Yeah.
Richard Simmons. Or
Yeah, I
what
mean,
was the female one?
Jazzercise.
Jazzercise.
I bet
Yeah.
Marge was rocking some jazzercise.
Yep.
So Homer runs in and he's like, Marge, I gotta tell you the five greatest words in English language. And he goes, Greasy Joe's, bottomless, barbecue. And then he runs out on his four fingers and then pit.
Yep.
One finger on. So it's like, a four or five word, like the best five words in the English language. But Homer had to use a, extra digit on his other hand.
Well, because they only have four fingers.
I know. It was kind of funny.
It was pretty funny.
And I think he thought about it too. Like there was like a split second where he was trying to figure out how to get the fifth word in. And I'm trying to think, I'm like, should he know he only has four fingers on one hand?
Yeah, probably. I do like, so Marge is like, well, you promised to limit your servings of pork to 6 times a week. And I feel like, you could go to a barbecue joint and get other options. I'm sure they have chicken. I'm sure they have beef options. He doesn't have to eat pork.
No. And Marge is like, or Homer's like, Marge, I'm only human.
But is he?
Yeah. I mean, he might be Bigfoot.
Because don't forget, there's also an all-you-can-eat episode where
The shrimp one.
Yeah. So, and they had to kick Homer out because they ran out of food.
Exactly.
So is he only human?
Well, no, because remember they were paying the what is his name?
Sea captain?
Sea captain. Yeah, that's his name. The sea captain was like charging people to watch Homer eat.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Homer is not human.
No. Half human, half ape.
All Simpson.
Maybe Neanderthal. Yep, all Simpson. So then we get to, so Homer is like, why don't we do it on Saturday? And Marge is like, well, maybe we could see if Patty and Selma may watch the kids.
Yep.
And, Homer, is like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I love how Marge calls them at the DMV. Like, you could just answer the phone and have a civil conversation while you're at work with someone.
So here's the thing. You've been to the DMV, right?
Well, I get that it's slow and they, they try to not help you as much as humanly possible. But still, I think personal calls at the time that you're working, maybe, maybe not. I feel that it might be slightly frowned upon. Now, taking forever to help the next customer, yeah, I get it.
This
But
is also the first time we get to see where Selma and Patty work.
and I do like that they're smoking on the job. Like the DMV, I guess I don't know any other job. Maybe in the 90s, smoking at your job inside was normal, but I do like the fact.
I know in the 70s and 80s, on air anchors used to be able to smoke on air and drink.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
and now
possible.
Obviously it's 2020; they're not allowed to do that.
But I don't think at a DMV smoking would be normal.
Maybe in 91? I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, Marge calls him and, she's like, well, do you think you could watch, Bart and Lisa while we go out? And like, well, we kind of have something, but sure, we could do it, do it afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they were going to go to a wedding. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we'll be out of there before the reception.
Exactly. So they were able to watch Bart and Lisa kids. While Homer, made a pig of himself. So we see Hans Moleman for the first time.
Moleman. Love Hans Moleman.
He's taking an eye exam.
Which at first I had written down that he was doing poorly, and then I rewatched the scene, and I'm like, no, he's actually doing really well. And Selma voided his license because of how long he took to actually read the letters, but he was reading them correctly.
She was like, you would have been in a car accident by now.
And we learn in this episode that Hans Moleman's real name is Ralph Mellish, which is a reference to a Monty Python sketch.
Which I have never seen. No, or maybe I have and I don't remember it.
So Hans Moleman, real name is Ralph Mellish, but he's still Hans Moleman.
He is always going to be Hans Moleman.
Yes.
So we go to the church where Patty and Selma are at the wedding, and we see a church sign that says 2 p.m. Peterson wedding, 8 o'clock, hayride to heaven. So
that can be taken a couple different ways.
I mean, are they going onto a haunted hayride and the cart is going to fall down a cliff and they're all going to die and that's the hayride to heaven? Or is it like Reverend Lovejoy doing, not karaoke, but like sing-along songs with kids on the back of a hayride while they sing? But either way, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was it's a good sign. I love the signs in The Simpsons.
Oh, they're always good. And so Selma is, watching everyone getting married, or the two guys getting married, and she remembers the day she met Stanley at the DMV. And Patty really bumps him out of the way to sit at lunch with him, and so he goes and sits with his future wife.
Yep.
And I love how during was it during the reception or during the vows where he's like, I don't know where I would have been.
Oh yeah, it was during the vows. It was after she was daydreaming.
Yep. And I love how it was like, I don't know where I would have been had I not met you at that lunch that one time.
Yep. Probably possibly married to Selma.
I know. She really liked him.
Mm-hmm. So after the wedding, Selma and Patty go to The Simpsons to babysit Bart and Lisa. And Selma's very sad. And she's singing the song Brandy to Lisa, which is a very good song. And honestly, Selma, for having a smoker and having a really chiseled voice, sung it actually pretty decently.
I mean, it still seemed... I mean, she sang it so sadly, though.
Yeah. And she tells Lisa that nobody wants a 40-year-old. So we learn that Selma and Patty are 40 years old because they're twins.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're 6 years older than Marge.
All right. They're okay. So I mean, they're definitely we already knew that they were the older sisters because
correct.
During the airplane episode flashback, they're in their teens smoking and Marge is, going to like kindergarten, or not kindergarten, but like, was it like her first day in first grade, or it was like a new full grade day, and they're saying what the kids will do to her, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So Homer comes in, and I like how he unbelts his pants to let out the gut after his all-you-can-eat party, and then the button on his pants pops, and then his gut even falls out even farther.
So here's the thing. Just because you eat all that food, your stomach is not going to expand. You're going to feel bloated and fat, but Homer is just that fat.
Yeah, but I do like, the whole after you eat turkey on Thanksgiving, you unbutton your, pants
Oh,
to.
yeah.
I mean, I think it's just more of a good feeling because your body does expand. Not
But
not to the
not
point
that
of Homer,
much.
not to the point of Homer, but your stomach does expand a little bit because you've kind of inhaled more food and air, and that's why when
Yeah.
you burp, you kind of feel your stomach compress because all that extra air that was in there let out. But yeah, pulling your belt off and giving you a little bit more stomach room. Not as much as Homer does, but it does feel a little bit good.
So I like the fact they get home and, like if you saw a movie or you saw a TV show or you went somewhere, every once in a great while, you'll either text me or call me. And so Homer, in that style, calls Barney to be like, oh man, that barbecue place was great. And I love the fact that Patty is passed out on the couch with a cigarette in her face, snoring. And Homer's just like, I think Barney heard her snoring, and Homer's like, "Oh, it's just Patty." I think, or I'm
Yeah.
misremembering that scene entirely.
No, I think it was just he was like, oh, I think he thought it was like an airplane or something
Oh
crazy,
yeah,
but it's like, oh, that's just my sister-in-law.
like
But yeah, I
she's
mean,
a
she's
heavy
just passed
sleeper
out on the
though.
couch.
Heavy sleeper.
Yeah, I like how Homer's like, I would drink that barbecue sauce, just from
Okay,
the
so to
tin.
be fair, I've had this experience. A buddy of mine got married a few years ago, and at his wedding, he had beef tips and this chicken that was like doused in this white sauce. I could have drinking that white sauce. Like I am fully on board with Homer right here that if a sauce tastes that good, you could drink it, and I agree with him 100%.
Yep. And so then we see Selma kind of, take Marge off and kind of go into the kitchen.
Kitchen.
And as you noted, they shut at the door.
Yeah,
To my
where did that door
knowledge,
come from?
they just installed it this episode. I don't know. I
Just
will
for
have to
this
keep an eye.
episode.
We'll just have to keep an eye out for it because I don't remember any door, any hinges between the two.
Uh,
Maybe I'm wrong, but give me a quick sec. We'll go to our reference scale.
He's gonna go check his
Um,
Lego Simpsons house.
yep. Give me 1 second.
So as he does that, I'm gonna pose a question to our audience. Is there a food that comes with a sauce where you would just drink the sauce? You can Instagram us, you can Facebook us, let us know, and we'll discuss it. Or if you have a favorite barbecue joint in Wisconsin or Minnesota, hit us up and we'll check it out.
Yeah. So according to my Lego Simpson house, there is no door on either entrance to the kitchen from either
So
the
they
living room or the den.
so they created it just for this episode.
Most likely just to shut off Homer so Selma and Marge could talk in private, apparently,
Yes.
because there's no other rooms in the house they could just go to and talk in private.
Yeah. So this is where
But yeah,
Selma
so
asks Marge to find her a man.
yep. And who do you think they use? Homer Simpson, because
Lisa.
he's what?
You said who do you think
They
they
use
used?
Lisa to help.
No. They
Well,
used
Homer knows how to find a man. I don't think so. Homer
No,
is not a very good finder of men, to my knowledge.
And so Marge is like, well, you owe me for that family vacation to the Bowlers Hall of Fame to see a car shaped like a bowling pin. And I looked this up because she mentions St. Louis, Missouri. The International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame is located in Arlington, Texas. There is nothing in St. Louis, Missouri for a Bowlers Hall of Fame.
Well, geez, Marge, come on, you gotta know where
Don't even
you're,
remember where you went. Now, granted, you went to the Bowlers Hall of Fame. I don't think I'd remember where that was either, but you think you'd remember where you went for vacation.
Yeah, you would. I mean, you should think of where you're going. I mean, maybe it was that boring. She just didn't remember, and not. I mean, Texas and St. Louis, they're not necessarily far apart, but they're in the South, so
Yeah.
maybe she got a little bit closer than saying like New Hampshire or something weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Marge asks Homer to find Selma a husband, which is not
Not a
even a
good idea.
boyfriend or anything.
A
Just
husband.
find her a husband.
That's dumb. That's a bad idea.
And I do like that Homer's like just kind of thinking, and Marge's like, no, someone good. Selma likes Police Academy movies, Hummel figurines, and walking through the park on clear autumn days.
And for anybody who doesn't know what a Hummel figurine is, if you've ever seen the show Better Call Saul, there's a plot that revolves around him stealing a Hummel figurine.
Yeah,
they're like little China figurines.
Yeah, like made from China glass, and
yeah,
they kind of the people have like rosy cheeks on them. They're kind of like, imagine like Holland, like Denmark style figurines.
And some of them are very expensive.
They are, yes.
Like old people love these things
for some stupid reason. But yeah, when Homer asks Marge, he's like, oh, it's like he didn't know who was who, and then he's like, oh, Patty chose a life of celibacy, and Selma had it thrust upon her.
So basically, she didn't have a choice but to be celibate.
Yes, because so Patty chose that, and Selma had to go along with it because, as we learn in the future, they're twins and they don't want to really split up. I mean, I get it, but I know enough twins in real life where they want to have their own lives. They don't want to spend them together. So kind of weird, but I guess sisters do it differently.
Yep. So Marge says, these are the things you should look for in a man for Selma. Honest, caring, and well off. Homer, why should she have a better husband than you do?
I know.
And I wrote in parentheses, I really question this marriage sometimes.
I mean, Homer's definitely not honest, as we learned last episode with him stealing cable.
Yeah.
He's sort of caring, maybe a little bit.
Oh, he's definitely not well off, though. Although they make enough money to afford a decent home.
Yes, and apparently a second TV, but they can't afford cable. So the well-off part, I don't know.
Also, going back to Marge asking Homer to find Selma a husband would be like you asking your wife to find me a wife.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'd be a good idea because I'm very picky.
Yeah, I think matchmaking isn't necessarily the best solution. I know it's been a thing forever. I mean, obviously,
it works sometimes.
I mean, you enter the era of internet and you got the dating websites and all that stuff. But even that is still like algorithms trying to randomly choose you with who they think you'd be the best match with. So matchmaking, I think it's just go out to a bar, go out with your friends, randomly find someone. I mean, for some people, online dating works. Something, going just to the bar works.
Yep.
But if you kind of look at, I don't know, statistically, obviously Patty and Selma are now 40, but statistically, there's a good chunk of people who meet like their future significant other in college. Like college seems to be probably the most centralized way people find their significant other. Obviously, some people meet in high school and get married. Some people meet, just after college. But I would say a good chunk of people meet their significant other in college.
I would also say that, sometimes marriage isn't the best idea because statistically speaking, 50% of marriages end in divorce. So
it's take the good with the bad.
Is it?
So, yeah. So it is more now. Yep. I actually just saw a recent poll. So we go to school and it's kind of a random turn. Yeah. Like the entire episode thus far has been kind of at the Simpsons house.
But it sets up for later in the episode, which is why it's there.
Yeah. So we see Krabappel. Yeah, we see Krabappel talking with Martin and Bart paired up for a science experiment.
Yeah.
Seems odd, but I must have been those names drawn from a hat type situation where they just got put together. If I was Martin, I'd be like, new partner, please. But Krabappel's explaining
sodium tetrasulfate. Sodium
Yep.
tetrasulfate.
And yeah, sodium tetrasulfate. I think I got that.
Yes.
And she's like, it'll burn your skin. It'll, all this dangerous stuff about it. And she pours some in the glass, and Martin's like, stop, tell me what. And then as she's walking away, she spills some on the actual table. I mean, you obviously
it's
don't
not
want to
going to
get your
burn through
fingers
the
caught
table.
in this stuff, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to burn through the table, but...
Oh, here it goes. I got it. So even as she explains that sodium tetrasulfate is highly caustic and can remove your skin, Mrs. Krabappel pours it slowly into a beaker near Bart and Martin, but then spills it on the table as she's explaining how bad it is and corrosive to your skin. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. So
then we kind of cut to Homer.
Yeah, it takes another weird turn. There's a couple weird turns in here because they go back to the plant, and Homer starts searching for Selma, for a worthy man, and they kind of turn him into the Terminator.
Yeah, so that's a movie moment for this movie. Homer's futuristic means of analyzing potential suitors for Selma parodies the Terminator. And so the first person Homer scans is Carl, and his cons are too attractive, which, to be fair, Carl's a pretty attractive guy.
Yeah.
Smithers, his cons are he's a jerk, which he's a pretty good jerk to Homer. I don't know if he'd necessarily be a jerk to Selma, but he's a jerk to Homer, so Homer classifies him as a jerk. Now, the funny thing is, if this was a future episode, I bet it would be cons gay. So then they go to Mrs. Finch, which I like how it was Homer knew who it was in the gear, and she takes the helmet off. Not a man.
Yeah. Although for Patty, as we learn later, she might have worked out with.
Yep. So apparently, coordinating a pencil drop results in suspension.
So Bart, Milhouse, and one other boy are standing around, and Skinner comes up to him and he goes, "I heard you guys were coordinating a pencil drop. If that's true, you'll all be suspended." Okay.
Now a pencil drop, is that something in class and everyone drops the pencils?
Yes.
Or is that
no, that is exactly how it sounds. It is literally
or do they go to the top of the roof of the school and huck pencils off the school?
No. It's exactly how it sounds. In class, they coordinate dropping their pencils. I've heard of this.
Sounds like something that's more of like a viral or like a challenge, like a TikTok challenge or something stupid. Nowadays,
I mean, you're not wrong, but
that seems like something that would happen now, not in the 90s. But I mean, I guess kids did kind of stupid, weird things in the 90s. I can't remember. Can you remember anything in middle school? Or I guess, 10th grade, or no, 10 years old. So
it's like
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So middle school, which is kind of weird because they're at an elementary school. Okay, so 6 is first
10
grade.
years old is 5th grade.
Is 5th grade. Oh, 5th grade? So 6 is 1, 7 is 2, 8 is 3, 9 is 4, 10 is 5. So 5th grade. Okay. I can't really remember, 5th grade was a long time ago for me, but I really can't remember anything in elementary school where we did things like that.
No. That was more middle school, high school shenanigans.
Yeah, there's even I remember the episode where Bart's like, okay, when they enter the door, everyone turn their desks backwards. And they, enter the door, and only Bart turned his desk around.
Yeah.
So then Bart finds a bag of sodium tetrasulfate. And the funny thing is like Bart starts, pouring it. And I'm like, and then you look at it's like 40-foot high letters, the word Bart. And you're like, did he steal more than one bag? I feel like you would need way more than one bag.
Oh, yeah. He had to steal like 4 bags.
And also, I feel like Bart then would have gotten caught before he even finished at that point.
Yeah, who doesn't notice bags of...
I would say his penmanship is pretty good for that size of
it's
lettering.
not that hard because you could do straight enough lines outside of maybe the B and the R. But the T is just 2 straight lines. The A is just 3 straight lines. The B has a straight line. The R has 2 straight lines. So it's doable.
Maybe. I feel like you'd be really crooked and really off But
Yeah.
Bart does spray painting, so
Yeah.
it's slightly artistic in
So
a very dangerous way.
So after we see Bart starting to destroy school property, we go to the Quickie Mart and Homer orders a seafood burrito, which I can't
I didn't
imagine.
even know they made those.
Well, you can get a seafood burrito. I just can't. I mean, a shrimp, you get shrimp tacos, you put shrimp in a
I
burrito.
guess so,
But
yeah.
still, getting a seafood burrito from the Quickie Marts?
Homer does eat disgusting things from the Quickie Mart.
True. So he does his Terminator thing with Apu, and it pops up pros, discounted snack treats, cons, dangerous profession.
But to this day, though, I don't think we've actually seen Apu get shot. I mean, we've seen him get almost shot by Sideshow Bob.
I think we've seen the Quickie Mart robbed a couple times by Snake, but you're right. I don't think Apu ever gets shot.
No, I don't think we've seen. Snake hasn't appeared yet. There's
not yet, but I'm saying in the future.
Oh, in the future, I'm just saying as of this point.
Oh no, once. It's only happened once that Apu's gotten robbed. He's never gotten shot
from Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, but the joke is that like the Quickie Mart is modeled after 7-Eleven, and the stereotype is those kind of places are dangerous.
No, I get that, but in the real world of Springfield, Homer would only have known of one time of it getting robbed because he was jumping into a bag of chips.
I mean, maybe he's just jumping to a conclusion then.
Ah, there you go. So then he leaves. Then he leaves the Quickie Mart, and I like how no name just question mark. Yep. Pros, nice stride. He's a good walker apparently. Yeah. Cons, complete stranger.
But here's the thing: some people get married and they never know each other straightforward.
Well, that's Apu's situation, not necessarily
no, the complete
average white male. Well, no, I get that. Well, you're saying they can marry complete strangers. That's more like arranged marriages, like Apu, as opposed to.
But just because somebody is just because somebody is a complete stranger doesn't make it a con.
Well, you don't know where that guy's life has been.
You're not wrong, but the only way to find out is if you meet him.
Yep. So when did Homer get the call? Because I was trying to pinpoint when he's driving and sees the Laramie sign.
We are not there yet. We are not even close to that yet. So he's driving along.
So I think the timeline is really messed up then too.
Yeah. So he sees the Laramie sign. Pros, smoker. Cons, just a sign.
Yep. So
inanimate object, probably not a good idea to marry.
No, could be fun, but probably not. But then we learn Skinner eats school lunches.
Yep.
Because of the best tater tots money can buy.
To be fair, sometimes school had some decent food.
Yeah. I mean, our middle school was pretty damn good.
Yeah. Our high school had some really good food too.
Yeah.
Elementary school was meh, but it's elementary. I remember in elementary school, like we got the menu for the week, and like if we didn't like something for the week, we would just take a cold lunch. So
yep, exactly. But Skinner likes Lunch Lady Doris's cooking, apparently, which we haven't learned that she's the lunch lady yet.
Yeah. So he's smelling the tater tots. He's like, that smells like sodium tetrasulfate burning grass. And he runs outside. He runs up the bell tower that apparently Springfield Elementary School has, looks down, sees Bart's name written in 40-foot letters, and he just screams Simpson. And to be fair, if you didn't want to get caught, you might not have want to sign your own name.
Yep. And this was the second movie moment in this episode. So when Skinner runs up the staircase, you kind of see it at the top angle.
Mm-hmm.
And that recalls the final scene from Hitchcock's Vertigo. So now 2 episodes in a row, we get some Hitchcockian movie moments.
Yep. So he pulls Bart out of class, and there is a stack of folders for Bart's permanent record, and they include vandalism, tardiness, rude behavior, making faces, and miscellaneous trouble, and there's 9 total folders.
Yeah, I do love, making faces.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I guess I don't know how many specific faces you can make to have a folder that thick, but
Oh,
I
challenge
get rude.
accepted.
I mean, I get rude behavior. I get vandalism because Bart does that all the time, as is the Bart writing in the grass.
Yeah.
But we don't really see Bart tardy, not yet. I
Not
think
yet.
in the future we do get a lot of Bart tardiness, and there's the Chowda episode where the whole
Chowda.
episode, the Chowda episode where
Chowder.
Chowder, where Bart, the whole episode's about Bart being tardy and
Yes.
not showing up for school. So we do know Bart is tardy does not show up to school.
Yeah.
But
This is
apparently he's
kind of
been
the
doing it.
really big first glimpse of, obviously, watching a lot of Simpsons episodes. We know Bart is a troublemaker, but this is pretty early on a good indication that Bart is a terrible person.
Yep. And so I like how Bart tries to pass the blame onto other Barts. He's like,
There
maybe
are
it was
no
one of
other
the
parts.
maybe it was one of the other Barts. Maybe it was
Oh.
Bort.
Bort. God. Oh, I can't wait for that episode.
That was a good one. That was a good one. So I love how Skinner makes Bart call Homer.
Yeah, why wouldn't you do it? You're the principal.
I know, it's so weird. And so we see work, which is Klondike 56832.
Mhm.
Home is Klondike 56754. And apparently Homer drinks during the middle of the day.
Yes.
And calls Moe's Tavern. And that's Klondike 51239. So now we know Moe's phone number.
Now we can prank phone call Mo.
So Bart calls Moe and asks. Yep. So Bart calls Moe in the middle of the day. Bart's like, "Hello, is Homer there?" Homer who?
Homer who?
Which I was like, "What? You obviously know who Homer is." And I almost wonder if that. Now I get that it was going to be a prank phone call, but I wonder if Bart just in the thought of his mind was like, "Homer who? Okay, that's it. I'm getting you. Homer sexual. Wait a second. Let me check." And then he's like, "Homer sexual. Come on. One of you guys has got to be a homosexual."
And I love the fact that Homer is laughing.
I know. And Moe's like, "Oh no, you rotten little punk. If I ever get a hold of you, I'll stick my teeth into your cheek and rip your face off." Man, Moe's getting violent.
So, and this is when Skinner takes the phone and Moe recognizes Skinner's voice, which begs the question. We've never seen Moe and Skinner interact. So how does Moe he has Moe's number. So obviously they've called Moe's Tavern at least a handful of times.
To find Homer sexual?
To find Homer Simpson.
Or just Homer. Homer Simpson. Okay. Yeah, I just like, "Oh, Skinner, our lines must have gotten crossed." And so, I'm like, I mean, maybe. I guess the 90s phone lines got crossed quite a bit.
Yeah. So then Homer does his Terminator thing on Principal Skinner. Pros: uses big words, dislikes the boy, well groomed. Cons: possible homosexual.
Homosexual.
Oh, that was so good. And so they're talking about Bart, and Homer's like, enough about the boy. And he invites Skinner over for dinner, and Bart clearly doesn't
first asks, he asks, "Do you have a significant other at home?" Now, I wrote this at the very end of my notes, but I don't know if we want to talk about it now. But I was like, where's Skinner's mom in all this?
Well, she hasn't been introduced yet.
I know, but it just
wait. Really, when's the cherry bomb?
This would have been a great episode.
Wait. When's the cherry bomb episode? Yeah. So she was. So maybe they forgot about her.
I don't know. It just seems so weird that Skinner's mom has such a hold on his life, dating life, personal life. Like it seems kind of weird that she was never.
Yeah, but we really don't. But here's the thing: you're getting ahead of yourself. We really don't know anything about that yet. So in the context of this episode, it makes perfect sense that Skinner would be like, yeah, I'm free. I'm single.
Yeah, but we learn how much of a mama's boy Skinner is, though. She even like said, "Oh, your nickname is Spanky." Like we know that Skinner is a mama's boy from that episode. Like we do. We
Yeah, but
know
we don't know
that
how much control she has of his life. So
if
I feel
if
like,
she's getting a tour of Springfield Elementary with her son, she has a lot of control.
but here's the other thing: we don't know that she lives in Springfield.
Yeah, we
She
do.
could have been
We
visiting,
know that they live together. We
but
know that
not in that
Skinner.
episode. Not in that episode. We don't. All
Okay,
she was
don't.
doing was visiting the school.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. Which episode was that? Do you remember?
Like 10 or 11, I think. I don't know.
Oh, was it early on?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was, I think it was first season.
Was it Crepes of Wrath? Yeah, it was Crepes of Wrath.
Yeah, it was Crepes of Wrath. Really, we only see Agnes for like 2 minutes in that episode.
Yeah, I guess. All right, fine. Point made. But I still feel like okay. So let's say we did know what the future held.
But
I
we
feel
don't.
like I know
But
we
we
don't.
don't.
But let's just say okay. So let's say we're viewing a future episode and we're like we come back to this moment and say where the hell was Skinner's mom in all this? I feel
Then
like
that's when we talk about it.
all right, fine. But I still feel like she would have control over his dating life, which I feel like in the future episodes, she does have control over his dating life.
It's also possible, we don't see it. We don't see it, but he could have gone home and like, hey, I have a date tonight. And she's like, okay.
And
Like,
I mean, I know we're going to get down to it, but asking, Selma to marry her, I feel like Skinner's mom should have had a piece in this, like introducing it to his mother or I don't know. There could have been so many ways, even if it was for another 2-minute shot, to have Agnes in this episode.
It's also possible they didn't think they were ever going to bring Agnes back.
I guess so. I guess it's entirely possible.
Yep.
Maybe. Well, we'll see when she comes in again.
So
okay,
after
so
he invites Mr. Skinner, I do love the fact that Homer does the excellent bit.
Yes. And I think it's Homer taking on Mr. Burns's persona. Definitely not very Homery, I guess, but he got the job done. I think that was kind of it. He's like, you know what?
Or did he get the job done?
Right, because Homer screws everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, do you like Cards Against Humanity?
I sure do.
Well, what if you could play Cards Against Humanity Simpsons style?
That would be amazing.
Well, now you can. Check out cardsagainstthesimpsons.com to buy your very own set of Simpsons Against Humanity.
I see a lot of podcasts give out discount codes. Is there a promo code I could use?
There sure is. Use promo code SimpsonsPod. That's SIMPSONSPOD to receive a 10% discount on Cards Against Humanity, the Simpsons way.
Ay caramba, that's a good deal. But for all of our listeners out there, if you want a better deal, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to get a different promo code to save even more.
That is correct. So head over to Facebook, the Simpsons Did It page, Instagram, Simpsons Did It Pod, and Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC to get that code. And as always, everything's coming up Millhouse.
So we go to the Simpsons house and they're watching football. So maybe it's a Saturday night or a Friday night, because I know college airs some football games on Friday night.
And we don't know who they were watching, because we do know NFL is in the Simpsons universe.
Yeah, but they didn't have Thursday. But they didn't have Thursday night football back in '91.
No, but we do also know that fictional minor league teams do exist in the Simpsons universe as well. So we don't know if it was NFL that they were watching.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they show the replay of the guy getting his helmet and shoes knocked off. Because,
yes,
football's a violent sport.
And we do like that. We do like to see people getting hurt multiple times over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, imagine like hockey nowadays, man, when someone gets a stick to the face or checked really hard into the boards and obviously was injured on the play, we get to see that replay like 20 times.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
So I definitely think that it's something people want to watch on TV. over and over again. So Homer introduces Skinner to the wrong sister, which, to be fair, they're twins, but their hairstyles are really the only thing that differentiate them.
Plus, if you notice in this episode, Selma wears earrings that are in the shape of an S.
Yes. Yep.
So that's the other way to tell them
for the audience. If you don't know the hairstyle thing, because they don't wear those earrings all the time. I think this might be the only episode where you actually see the earrings, but the hairstyle is the way to tell the difference. And I think they also, just like the Simpsons, they wear the same clothes pretty much all the time. Yeah. And I think it's like Patty's in like a purple dress and Selma's in like a pink dress.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. I don't think their clothing is the same.
No. So after that, they have dinner and Skinner's all infatuated with Patty and Marge is trying to steer Skinner to Selma, but it's just not working. Or am I getting ahead of myself? No.
What are you talking about?
The dinner scene where they're talking about Patty and Selma's trip to Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
Am I in the right spot?
Yep, that was. Yep.
Okay. And so they really didn't do a good job, and Skinner asks Patty out on a date, and Selma and Patty are driving home, and Selma's like, "You're taking this date." Because she hasn't had a date.
Patty's first date, yeah.
In 25 years, which means her first date, she was 15 years old. And she hasn't had a date since she was 15.
It must have been really bad.
Yeah. Well, again, Patty chose celibacy. So
exactly. So she must have had a really horrible experience dating, and she's like, you know what? That's it. But I do like how they stop at the Quickie Mart.
Yep.
And Patty gets her because she's kind of like kind of frustrated and upset, so she wants to smoke more. So she smokes Lady Laramie 100s. And I like how when she hands him the pack, Apu says, "Smoke them in good health."
Yeah, because, smoking cigarettes, you can do that in good health.
Exactly. I think, yeah. Good job, Apu. I like it. It must have been a joke on people, smoking.
Yeah. So now we go back to the school and we see Bart getting punished. And we get our first look at Groundskeeper Willie, and I love it. There's so many good side characters. They're so good. And I love the fact that...
And Groundskeeper is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And I love the fact, so Skinner's kind of in love, and Bart's like, "Oh, I learned my lesson." Skinner's like, "All right, get out of here." And Willie's like, "You'll be back. You haven't seen the last of Willie."
I know. And that's definitely one of Willie's main quotes. Kind of like, Barts don't have a cowman and stuff. Like, that's definitely one of Willie's
you haven't seen the last of Willie.
Quite often.
I can't really do the Irish Scottish accent.
Scottish.
Yeah, I can't really do that.
Don't get it mixed up. Willie will come and beat you up.
Yeah.
But we also learn because Skinner asks Bart what's Patty's favorite candy, and Bart's cherry cordials.
Yep.
And so we go back to the Bouvier residence, and we see Patty's lips getting waxed with, "Gee, your lip looks hairless." Must be some really good some wax.
Yeah.
And so Skinner comes to the door, and he's like, "I got you some cherry cordials. Or I heard you like some cherry cordials." Like, "Yeah, they're okay." And then hucks them behind her into the apartment.
I feel like Patty tried to do her best early on to sabotage the date, but Skinner is just so infatuated that he's like, "It's fine." So then they go to the revolving restaurant, and food tastes better when you're revolving. It's a fact.
Yo, does it taste better when you're revolving?
I've never eaten while revolving.
I think I have. I've been at one revolving restaurant in my life, and it was meh. It was all right.
As you said here, it does look like the Space Needle, which they probably did on purpose. I've actually been in the Space Needle, and it does not revolve.
Oh, that's sad. They
Well,
should
why
have made
wouldn't
that a
you?
revolving restaurant.
And the sign says, "Welcome to
Oh,
the sit and rotate room." So, is there a
yep.
non-sit
So
and rotate room? Is there a stand and rotate
yes.
room?
No, no, no. So in revolving restaurants, so the one I was at, there are two places you can sit. You can sit
Okay.
in the place that revolves, or you can sit in the place that sits just permanently. And my guess is it's for people who don't want to get dizzy. And I mean, if you have like not necessarily vertigo, but if you
Motion sickness.
have motion sickness or anything like that, and it's we sat in the part that rotates, and I'll tell you, watching the people not rotate kind of gets you a little bit dizzy because you're spinning around and staring at something at a fixed point. And so staring outside is probably more beneficial than staring in the restaurant at people. Now, here's the other stupid thing about the restaurant we were at is it actually spins in both directions. At one point, it'll stop and spin you the other direction. That might also be for motion sickness as well, because if you spin the same direction multiple times, that's how you get dizzy. But to
Yeah.
kind of unbalance yourself, you spin in the other direction too.
Yeah.
But I think that is stupid. I think you just spin the restaurant slower, maybe, or I don't know. I guess I don't know the physics behind revolving restaurants and getting dizzy.
No, I've never
But
been to a
it was
revolving
kind of
restaurant.
maybe I'd recommend it maybe one time, but it's not really worth the hype, I don't think. So I like how when they sit down, like this is, you get the person from their home, you go to dinner, and then you go to a movie. That's kind of your standard, maybe first date, whatever. But I like how
Yeah.
Patty sits down and thinks the date is going bad literally already before they even eat. Like,
Yeah.
but Skinner thinks, oh, this is the best date ever. Um, and I do like how Skinner knows the waiter after he yells to get help.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that Skinner has been at least a principal since 1971 because the waiter was from the class of 71.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helps us determine Skinner's age at all or how old he would have to be in 71
Well, that's 20. It's
and then
20
do the
years.
math.
He's probably like,
So maybe he was 30. I mean, when can you become a principal? I guess you have to kind of be an educator, and I mean, you just don't jump straight to principal.
no. So I'm going to guess he's probably like 55, to be honest. I mean, maybe he's younger.
So he became well, no, I mean, if he's 55, so 71, 91 is 20 years. So if he's 55,
35, Steve.
that would
The math is easy.
35. There we go. All right, got it. So I mean, I guess so. 35 when he became a principal. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about
So,
right. So,
as you
and
can
then
see
so the
from the
difference in age is around. Well, the difference in age then would be 15 years. That seems kind of stretching it. Maybe. Well, maybe not. 15-year age gap. I guess that's kind of
yeah,
doable in that time frame in their ages. So 55 and 40. I mean, if you're looking for a husband, I mean, you're not too picky on age gaps.
yeah. So from the Springfield revolving restaurant, you can see a prison riot, a man threatening to jump while standing on an apartment ledge, and a garish neon sign reading "House of Tires."
I kind of wonder where they are within city limits. Are they in the bad part of Springfield? I guess I don't know where the Springfield Penitentiary is, but I feel like this revolving restaurant is on the other side of the tracks of Springfield.
Maybe, or it's by the other side of the tracks.
Yeah, but I do like how those things are literally right outside the windows.
uh,
Like the Springfield Penitentiary is right outside the window of this revolving restaurant, and
mhm.
apparently just as tall because
Yeah,
it's you. I mean, it's a slight downward angle that you see it, but I would feel like this revolving restaurant has to be at least 30 stories up
yeah,
ish.
probably.
But that I thought that was kind of far. And then you get the sign of House of Tires, which once again I feel like that's in more of the bad part of Springfield and not necessarily the good part of Springfield. Although we don't quite know where Patty and Selma live or where Skinner. I feel like Skinner lives in the nicer area of Springfield, where Patty and Selma live in the not so nice area of Springfield.
Yeah,
Maybe I don't know. But then, so after dinner, they go to Space Mutants 5, The Land Down Under, which obviously Takes
Yeah,
place in
Australia.
Australia. Now, what was it? Space Mutants 4 or 3 with the Telltale Head?
I believe it was 3.
Was it 3? So there was an additional uh, Space Mutants out between this episode. Man, they're pumping those movies out fast.
Yeah, so Skinner
Cheap to make,
tries to
maybe?
imitate a high school couple and tries to put his arm around Patty, and Patty's like, don't even do it, because Patty doesn't like to be touched.
Yes, I thought that was really hilarious. Like that Skinner would try to pull a
Yeah, so Skinner
um
doesn't really like the movie, but he asks Patty out again, and she says, oh, that's my Taekwondo class. And then he's like, how about Thursday? Oh, that's my cooking class. And then she goes, oh, I'm going shopping, grocery shopping. You can come with me then if you'd like.
I mean, that's not necessarily the best date, I guess. But oh no, so they went to go see Space Mutants 4. So
Oh,
it was the next one in the series. That's the word I'm
yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
So Space Mutants 5, they're already on 5. So who knows how long these movies have been in production, but we saw 1 year ago. So I mean, if the Simpsons, obviously no one ages, but if we're talking Simpsons chronological, 1 year ago makes sense for Space Mutants 4, and now Space Mutants 5 is out.
Yeah.
And so Bart, so obviously Skinner's smitten now. Skinner's all in love and doesn't have a care in the world. And Bart's eggs Skinner's car, and he kind of has a pissed look on his face, but then he kind of waves and says,
He doesn't egg Skinner's car, he eggs Skinner.
Or Skinner, that's right.
And Skinner's like, whatever, I'm in love.
Yep.
And the school is running amok because Skinner's in love. He doesn't care. Kids are out of control. He doesn't care.
Yep. And then Skinner and Patty, actually eventually they hit it off, and because we get the whole slapping, and then eventually we kind of wind up at the house.
Yep.
And or apartment, I guess, and they finally kiss, and Selma sees him through the eye hole, and that's it. I mean, that's it for her life basically. She's like, okay, well, if they're gonna be together, I gotta get there. And so she, I guess I don't know where this necessarily happens, because Homer's at the bar during happy hour, which is between 5 and 5:30. Like the timeline for this episode just seems just really off. Like this whole episode, the timeline just seems
Are you sure
off.
that's the right spot? Or was that when Bart calls Homer?
No. This is the other time with Barney, or was that the same time? No. Because Homer during the prank call is sitting in the middle of the bar. There's another part where Homer's sitting at the end of the bar, and I think that's when he talks to Barney about getting together with Selma.
Oh,
at the bar.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, the timeline of this episode just seems really off to me. But I did miss one part. So while Skinner's during kind of the montage of Skinner seeing the school run amok, Bart spray paints a kind of a crude woman stick figure thing on the brick wall, and Skinner kind of imagines it to be Patty, and once again doesn't care. But I love how Bart drew boobs on it. Because last episode we learned that he finally learned maybe what boobs look like because he watched adult networking.
So then Bart and Skinner go to the Family Jewels jewelry store. Tried to say that 5 times fast, so that Skinner can buy an engagement ring for Patty because he wants to ask her to marry him.
And I love how Bart goes with him. Like now the time, like I said, this timeline seems crazy. Now, was it after school? Like, did Skinner like, hey Bart, you know your sister Patty really well. Come with me to this jewelry store.
Well, clearly it's after school,
I guess. And then I don't know. I mean, if you were at a jewelry store and you saw a guy walk in with a 10-year-old looking to buy a wedding ring, I might call the cops.
I wouldn't. Why would you call the cops? They would just assume that it's his son.
Do you really? They look nothing alike.
And what's your point?
Come on. A 10-year-old walking around with a middle-aged man.
They wouldn't call the cops.
Seems kind of weird. I feel like it's kind of weird.
So Selma gets dolled up for her date with Barney, and Barney shows up and he brought a bottle of schnapps. And there's also a fly
Because,
buzzing around him.
yep. And when he leaves, the fly winds up inside Selma and Patty's
Mm-hmm.
apartment. So Barney leaves without his fly. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
sad. I wonder if it was his pet fly.
Yep. So then we cut to Skinner and Patty back at the school, and he's carrying Patty up the stairs like Quasimodo did, and as with Esmeralda and the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the 1939 live action version. I don't think they did it in the cartoon version, but this is the actual reference.
Yep, I've
And
never seen the live action
no,
one, and I don't
and
think I've ever actually seen the
how I want to
animated one
know, I
either.
want to know how far he carried Patty, because Patty's a grown woman, and the last time we saw him run up, he got vertigo. So, I mean, that doesn't seem like a good idea.
No, but when you're in love, maybe your strength can help you carry on.
Maybe.
It's possible.
So then,
Um,
Principal Skinner had taken the sodium tetrasulfate and burned to the ground. Patty, will you marry me? And he pops the question, and Patty says she can't do it because she has Selma as a twin sister, and they have a special bond. And Principal Skinner gets it, and he's not, I'm sure he's devastated, but he understands.
how much sodium tetrasulfate does this school have?
The better question is, why do they have it?
I mean, I get it for science. Like, if you're going to use it in science class,
In
I get.
5th grade? And actually,
Maybe.
I think Bart's in 4th, even though he's 10.
Maybe. But yeah, I don't quite understand why the school has an inordinate supply of. I mean, but then, okay, so the other question is, was Patty Marry Me in the same spot where Bart was written? And if so, I feel like the grass would not have grown back quite yet for Skinner to be able to write that.
Yeah.
Then again, we don't know how. Then again, we don't know how long they were dating. It seems like time, as we learned in the last episode, time is so up in the air. I mean, they could have been theoretically dating for 5 months before Skinner popped the question. Although it did feel much faster than that.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, it could have been 5-6 months. So yes, the grass would have grown back at that point. But also, during a school year, you kind of experience winter in Springfield, so the snow would have covered up the grass. It just seems so weird to me, and we'll get to it in just a minute when Bart gets, has to do but it almost looks like Skinner's like, damn it, Bart did his name, I did Patty Marry Me. Let's just burn off the whole damn field and Bart can start from scratch. I kind of jumped ahead, but
yeah, you did. So Skinner's devastated. He's walking around Springfield Elementary. He sees a sign for the school that says Bart Simpson, owner and proprietor, and he goes, "Well, tomorrow is another school day." So clearly, they're still in school.
Yes, but this is another movie moment.
Mm-hmm.
So Principal Skinner declares tomorrow is another school day, a la Gone with the Wind. Tomorrow is another day.
Yep.
So this episode featured 4 movie moments.
Yeah.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah. So then after that, we go to the bar where apparently Barney took Selma to Moe's for a date. Now, granted, Barney probably doesn't have a lot of money, but geez.
Dude, did you see his apartment? Barney does not have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But apparently Barney has a huge tab going at Moe's.
Well, that's not really surprising.
No. And it's surprising that Moe continues to let Barney have a tab.
I mean,
And so one other thing that we learned during their date, Barney's telling Selma that after his time in the service, that's really all we got from the story. I'm trying to think, when did Barney go to the army?
After high school?
Maybe. I don't remember him enlisting, although do you remember much from the the Arnie Ziff episode with his future plans after high school. I don't know if they necessarily said anything
No,
for
they didn't
Barney.
say anything.
All right. So we'll put a pin in that to see if we get any other future mention of Barney being in the army. And so Selma breaks up with, well, not really breaks up, says, or Patty walks in. I'm sorry. Patty walks in and says, I'm done with Skinner. And someone's like, thank God, get me out of here.
Yeah. So she leaves. Barney's devastated. Mo says, time heals all wounds. And then 2 seconds later, Barney's better because he gets an entire pitcher of beer to himself.
Exactly. So obviously, Barney cares more about beer than dating anyone.
Yes, he does. So then we go to the final scene. Bart is planting seed for the grass while Skinner and Willie are watching on. Skinner has a drink in his hand. He's sitting down relaxing. And as they watch, Willie proclaims, I told you would be back. Freeze frame, credits roll.
Yep. And as we see, as I mentioned, Bart apparently has to seed the entire field now. Like, I'm like I said earlier, I'm like, did they just burn off the entire lawn because of all the writing that they've been doing?
That would be the easiest way to replant stuff.
I guess.
Granted,
but then
I don't think the grass would regrow after burning the grass because you're going to burn the roots and you're going to ruin the soil.
Yeah, at that point, your smarter bet would be sodding instead of planting seeds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess technically it's cheaper to plant seeds. I mean, more backbreaking labor, but it's definitely cheaper to plant seeds. So the school, it's a public school, probably didn't get the funding.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Superintendent Chalmers had already been introduced, we would have got a huge Chalmers or a huge Skinner out of this.
Yeah. So I enjoyed this episode, as I said at the beginning. It's not one of their better ones for this season. I know you thought the timeline was wonky, but I thought it was fine. I thought the episode flowed pretty well. You got another prank call from Bart. I think some of the jokes land, some of them don't. I mean, this is like one of the first episodes where they really revolve the episode around a secondary character. So they did a good job. I'm sure they planned this out as a Valentine's Day episode. I'm going to go with I think it was average. I'm going to go with a 3, don't have a cowman. It's not their best effort, I think. But it's definitely not their worst. So it's a good episode. You get Groundskeeper Willie, you get Hans Moleman, but I just don't think there's really anything memorable about the episode.
No, and I'm definitely with you on the 3. I mean, it's definitely not the best, definitely not the worst. Middle of the road type episode. The only thing that really kind of saddens me is last episode. I mean, after our rating of it, we were raving on it. I mean, we both gave it a 5. To follow up with this kind of a like I said, I don't want to say a dud of an episode because it definitely had its moments, but to go from a high peak for us anyways, our ratings obviously, a high peak to middle of the road just seems like, I don't know, like you said, they're focusing on not Simpson related characters, and maybe the writers just didn't necessarily know where to go with them because of the whole timeline. They did a lot more cutting back and forth. We were at Moe's, we were at Bart's school, we were at Quickie Mart, we were at the nuclear power plant. Like it just seemed like how the timeline progressed through each individual segment of the episode just didn't flow right with me. Like it just didn't have it. But like you mentioned, the jokes, the majority of them landed. I love the introduction of new characters. I mean, it's always great to see where first shows up, and we get the classic mole man, just the classic mole man. I don't know what's going on. Sort of, old man mole man, old man mole man. That's pretty good. I like it. But yeah, that's where I said I'm gonna go with a 3 as well. So let's finish it off with our character profile of the Principal Seymour Skinner, which, took the pretty good, pretty much the whole episode.
Yep.
So Skinner, occupation, principal of Springfield Elementary School. His nickname, as we have already learned, is Spanky.
Yep.
His resident still lives with his mother.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure he doesn't make too much as a principal, but I feel like he could afford, if Homer Simpson can afford I don't know, 3-4 bedroom home in Springfield, I feel like Skinner could do the same, especially with Marge as a housewife. Homer's providing for the entire family, so I feel like Skinner could at least afford a decent apartment.
Maybe.
Or he just wants to hoard as much money as he possibly can before moving out.
There you go.
His education, according to the students, he knows everything. Reputation, I don't know where this came from. Renowned stuffed shirt. I guess I don't quite understand. Do you? Do you know where that comes from?
I have no freaking idea.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. His speech uses big words.
Yeah.
Turn-ons, orderliness, promptness, respect, and good grooming.
Yeah.
His turn-offs, chaos, which really is kind of contradictory almost to this episode because he let the school go to complete chaos when he was in love.
Yep.
Tardiness, disrespect, and Bart Simpson.
I think all 4 of those things just go together.
They do, but it's funny how much, well, I guess when Skinner left for the army, as we'll talk about in a future episode, the school goes to complete chaos and he gets it back in order. So I could see where chaos kind of, unruliness comes from. And even on early in the episodes, you see Skinner pointing at all the students and getting them to tone down and not be so rambunctious.
Yep.
So where can everyone find us? Because people want to go look for us, I'm sure. So you can find us on Facebook. Just type The Simpsons Did It podcast and click on our page and make sure to follow us. You can follow us on Instagram, The Simpsons Did It Pod. You can follow us on Twitter, Simpsons Did It PC. You can email us at The Simpsons Did It podcast at gmail.com if you want to, let us know how we're doing, what you like to see in the future, what you might not like. Also, we really have not mentioned it because it's only really one place, but one thing I would like to see a little bit more of, anyone who does listen to us on Apple Podcasts, if you can actually submit a review, I think starting next week, we're going to start reading some of our reviews from Apple Podcasts because we have gotten quite a few. So I think it'd be kind of cool once a week to read some of the reviews that we're getting from Apple Podcasts. So if you'd like to hear your name and our review mentioned on the podcast, be sure to check it out. And like I said, if you don't listen on Apple Podcasts, not a big deal. Don't worry about it. But if your listening platform is Apple, make sure to give us a rating and review. And finally, we did it last episode, but we're going to do it for pretty much every episode, hopefully from here on out. But we'd like to thank 51 Yellow for making our awesome Simplified podcast graphic. So if you would like to be Simplified, right now they're doing 70% off all orders. So head over to Yellow51 or 51yellow.com to check them out and see what they're all for.
Mm-hmm. They did a very fantastic job.
Yep. So until next time, I'm Steven Sklansky.
I'm your co-host, Robert Sklansky.
And this has been The Simpsons Did It.
Shh.